What's up, guys? Ben Solve back with another video. Now, I was going to make bud tending 101, but I thought about a subject that I need to cover. And this subject is so important, it's one subject and one subject only. The infamous budtender trap that mostly ensnares the inexperienced budtender. We humans cannot change what we don't acknowledge. And if you don't acknowledge it right now, it may never correct itself. My first experience budtending in the cannabis industry changed me and my perspective. Of course, you know my famous quote, "This ain't Dave's house." Okay, just to let you know, Dave was never my drug dealer. That wasn't his name, so I just made that name up. It made me realize I need to learn more and fast. The basics I knew, but the interactions had me lost sometimes. The guy that wanted the strain with the dominant terpene of pinene really set it in motion. But I also fell for the most common budtender trap many times. That trap that all inexperienced budtenders fall for. And if you don't catch it now, you will add it to your selling toolbox. You will be stuck with it. Disclaimer. Cool. Just because I am calling it a trap doesn't mean customers are being nefarious or intentional. It is used as a general inquisitive greeting that just happens to have a multi-purpose effect. Even the experienced budtender can still fall for this trap, mainly because there were no corrective measures in place, or the person just keeps getting lucky. In all fairness, an experienced budtender may not be trapped by this because they may have a rapport with the customer and the customer has aligned themselves with the budtender's choices. That's different. I'm generally referring to the budtender who doesn't have many selling tools in their toolbox and just rely on their opinions. It can become a trap that turns into a bad habit. If the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, then you tend to see every problem as if it were a nail. I haven't even told you what the trap is, but let's figure out why the trap is so effective. There's a few reasons. Pride sometimes has a lot to do with it, but there are three main reasons. Number one, budtenders know marijuana sells itself. Number two, because it has a 50 to 70% chance of working. And now if you're okay with that success rate, then more power to you. But I must warn you, all it takes is one customer to leave a negative review and people will avoid you like you sneezed during COVID. Not only could you ruin your rep, but the customer may avoid the dispensary altogether just over one bad experience. Also, you have to think every customer you sell a product to, you've potentially made 3 to 6 more customers. But that also can work in reverse. You could potentially lose 3 to 6 customers as well. You want to make sure their experience is just like their endocannabinoid system, unique to them. You like how I did that? Remember, in my last video I stated customers will know who you are before you even meet them. They read online reviews. I got a review once that stated I needed to smile more. For about a month until that review went to the second page, I would get random people with the comment of, "Oh, you do smile. You're not mean." People realized I was just serious about cannabis and trying to find them the proper solution. But I was perplexed for a little bit. Like the third or fourth person that said that, I'm like, what's going on? But come to find out, I had a review that said I wasn't smiling. Back to the trap. This trap comes in 2 forms, so you have to be prepared for either. Both give the same results. Number 1. What's the best flower here? You probably saying to yourself right now, Ben, that don't sound like a trap. In fact, Ben, that's a harmless question from every customer. Is it though? Really? Number 2, what do you like to smoke or use? Again, that question seems harmless, but there is a behind-the-scene chess game going on. budtenders might not even know about. Now, I call it a trap for 3 reasons. 1, when they ask either of these 2 questions, customers are measuring the budtender and what type of user they are. Are you a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior user? Customer gauges you to see if the budtender can hang with their consumption levels. Basically, if you two are hanging out smoking or using cannabis, who would tap out first? Number 2, the customer is formulating an opinion about the budtender's preferences based on what the customer likes. Customer asks, what do you smoke? Gorilla Glue number 4, Pineapple Express, Runts, or Black Destroyer? And they don't like any of those flowers you like. They may be turned off from you because of your choices, and you've just spent the last 5 minutes talking about you, and the customer is no further in making a decision. Not good, and now you're wasting their time. The third and most important reason I call it a trap is because of the endocannabinoid system. Each of us has our own endocannabinoid system that is unique to us. The cannabinoids that we react to may react differently to another individual. Strains that have an effect on me may have a different effect on someone else, which makes cannabis, its consumption, and dosage all subjective to the individual. So you tell them the best flower in your opinion, or the top selling flower, they buy it and hate it. Would you come back to you? Would you come back to that store? Because if that was quote unquote the best, the second or third best has to be garbage. While a 50 or 70% success rate is decent, it's a gamble and somewhat mediocre. You should have a goal for 80 to 95% success rate. How do you stop falling for that trap? Redirection. While I would love to sit up and talk about the cannabis I like, I'd rather hear from you and what works for you, so I can possibly make some suggestions based on your preferences. Now, if you've watched any of my videos or one of my videos, then you recognize I just used DK's method, just didn't look it up in the POS system. I want to get the customer to talk their hearts out so I can listen and watch their emotions. Their face lights up when they talk about the Gary Payton strain they had the last time, then I'm probably going to suggest Gary Payton, Gary Satan, or Strawberry Gary. If they express that they once had a strain that helped them with their arthritis, but they can't seem to remember the strain name and they didn't purchase it here, then I'm going to pull out some strains that I know help with arthritis, muscular issues, and chronic pain. Remember, you may know a lot about cannabis, but you know nothing about the person in front of you other than the fact they need a cannabis product. The object is to get the customer to open up to you so you can make an informed decision about their needs, not the other way around. Don't fall for the trap. Peace.